Conduct in the City Council chambers. Rules of decorum for the public. Members of the audience shall not engage in disorderly or boisterous conduct, including the utterance of loud, threatening, or abusive language, clapping, whistling, stamping of feet, or other acts which disturb, disrupt, impede, or otherwise render the orderly conduct of the city meeting infeasible. A member of the audience engaging in any such conduct shall, at the discretion of the presiding officer or a majority of the city council, be subject to ejection from the meeting per Government Code Section 54954.3C. Removal from the council chambers. Any person who commits the following acts in respect to a meeting of the city shall be removed from the council chambers per Government Code Section 54954.3C. A, disorderly, contemptuous, or insolent behavior towards the city council or any member thereof, tending to interrupt the due and orderly course of said meeting. A breach of peace, boisterous conduct, or violent disturbance tending to interrupt the due and orderly course of said meeting. Disobedience of any lawful order from the mayor, which shall include an order to be seated or to refrain from addressing the city council, and any other unlawful interference with the due and orderly course of said meeting. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Taft City Council Successor Agency Joint Regularly Scheduled Meeting for Tuesday, December the 19th, 2023. The City of Taft Council meetings are being held in person with full capacity seating and are live streamed at www.youtube.com/user/City of Taft. Public comment can be made in person and also can be received per the following. Written comments may be dropped off in the drop box in front of City Hall. Comments may be emailed to the city clerk at cityclerk@cityoftaft.org. They also can be made by phone to the city clerk's office at 661-763-1222. Public comments will be accepted up until 5 p.m. the day of the meeting, and all comments received will be read into the record. We're going to begin this evening's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Councilman Josh Bryant, followed by an invocation from Joey Pittman. If you would all stand and join us, please.
Would please take off your hats, salute, and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Let's bow our heads. God, we give you thanks. We give you praise, glory, and honor, especially at this season that we celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. Emmanuel, God with us, the King. So God, just as your star guided and led the wise men, we pray that you guide and lead this board, God. Just give them wisdom for the city. We give you all the praise and all the thanks. And everybody said, Amen. Amen. Amen.
Thank you very much, Joey. Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Knorr.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Cryer.
Here.
Councilmember Bryant.
Here.
Councilmember Waldrop.
Here.
And Councilmember Chavera.
Here. All right, first item on this evening's agenda, appoint representatives to the West Side Recreation and Park District Board. City Manager Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. Pursuant to Section 5783.5 of the California Public Resources Code and the city's policy regarding appointments to boards and commissions, notice has been duly advertised informing those interested to submit an application for serving on the West Side Recreation and Park Board. The board members currently representing the city are Roy Highmiller and John Swearingen, and only Mr. Swearingen has applied for reappointment. An application for appointment was also received from Douglas Hunt, and both Mr. Swearingen and Mr. Hunt have been verified as meeting the qualifications of appointment and have been invited to attend to address the city council regarding their applications for appointment.
Thanks, City Manager Jones. Recommendation here, gentlemen, is first off, we're going to hear from the applicants. And then we're going to entertain a motion to appoint them to serve a term on the board. So, gentlemen, why don't you step on up here one at a time and let us know why you want to serve the people of this community on the board of Parks and Rec.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting me. I've been on the rec board since 2010. I actually was honored to fill Mr. Waldrop's spot when he was on the rec board and came to the city council. And so a lot's happened in those years. Truthfully, when I started, it was very easy. Oil and everything was great. There was no problems whatsoever. But since then, a lot's changed. Thank God we got Les Clark to take over, and just everything's going good there. I mean, we've had a lot of ups and downs, but Les has guided us through everything, and I'm honored to be on the board. I've been on there with some other people that did a great job also. But like I said, I got on, mainly for the kids, but then I realized there's a lot more to it, senior citizens, everything else. And I mean, like I said, they've done a great job providing for everybody in the whole community. And since I've been on, they've taken over football, soccer, baseball, community Christmas tree. I mean, the rec, Fox Theater, you name it. Les and them's charging to do it all. And so we're doing everything we can up there. And like I said, I'm honored to be on the rec board. It's been a great experience for me. And but like I said, when I first started, meetings for 15, 20 minutes, and now they're 3-4 hours. But it's worth it all. I enjoy doing it.
All right, very good. Gentlemen, anybody have any questions for Mr. Swearingen?
None here.
None here.
No? I will tell you that the first board I served on in the city of Taft was a Parks and Rec board. I did, and I took a great deal of pleasure in serving on that board and being a part of it, and being a part of the community. So no matter which board you're on, there are going to be those easy meetings, and then there's going to be those tough meetings. And whether you're on the board like yourself or you're heading that up, whether you're Les Clark or Craig Jones, sometimes you're in a hot seat. Nothing easy about it, but you're to be commended for stepping up and serving your community. I appreciate the fact that you would do that and have done that.
Yeah, I appreciate it, sir. Like I said, I enjoy doing it. Been on there a long time, and I'd like to continue serving the community. We like to help out and do whatever we can do. And that's the way, it works around here. Everyone here, that's the way you all are, and we are also. I mean, it's great.
All right, very good. Well, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Well, I probably don't need the speaker, but I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you guys because I was born and raised here. My family was born and raised. They came here from Oklahoma. And all my brothers and sisters went through Taft High. And that's where I kind of assisted coach for the last 16, 17, maybe longer. I don't forget, it's been so long. But my life started off in Taft. I played professional baseball for Oakland for a few years, was lucky enough. And then I decided I want to give it back to the kids. So I started working with kids in high school level and every level I could to help them because they gave it to me, I want to give it back. And in the community, it's the same thing. I still coach. I really just coach because I want to see the kids do good because it's not always about sports. You got to teach them the whole thing because I want them to go to college and it goes farther, that's great. But if you get a good education, you get a good job, and the community, it makes the community grow, and it's good for the community. And like I said, I love all the kids. I'm going to miss them when I retire one day, which is probably going to happen one day. I'm getting older every year, but I appreciate it. And I think I can help the board because I know a lot about sports. I played all sports in school, and I played most of my life. And I just, appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about it.
All right. Thank you very much, Doug. Gentlemen, any questions for Doug?
I really don't have any questions, but as a statement is that, the rec board has been really great for the community here, especially for the children, that a lot of them don't have a family environment, and they go there like part of the family, and you guys have been really good to the youth there to help them through their learning how to be taking responsibility and learn from playing different sports, especially football and basketball, following directions and stuff. To me, it's very, very important for our youth because there are, like we all know here, they're our future and our treasure. So just thank you for volunteering, doing what you're doing, and what the rec is doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, sir. Moving forward with this, at this time, I will entertain a motion to appoint John Swearengin and Douglas Hunt to serve a term on the board of the West Side Recreation and Park District with a term ending on December 31st, 2027, and find that the activity is not a project per the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA is set forth in section 15061B3.
Motion?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any additional conversation, gentlemen?
I'd like to make a comment that we have two outstanding people to take these jobs, and I couldn't be prouder. Thank you.
All right.
I'd also like to make a comment. I know the individuals both. I've worked with John. I went to school with him. Doug's been my coach in various sports. So two great human beings. They're dedicated to the community. They're dedicated to our youth, and they set the example. So I'm super excited to see them both on the board.
All right. Very good then.
Mr. Mayor, if I might.
Yes, sir.
It's really hard to say it any better about those two individuals in particular, as well as Les. I did want to pass out on a comment. I had a discussion yesterday with one of our social workers on campus, and I'll tell you how this ties into the rec here in just a second. But anyway, she was asking things about the community because she's not from here. She works here now, has about the last year or so. But she was, not knowing you guys, she was very complimentary of all the offerings and what the rec district has done and continues to do in the community. So, and that's a reflection of both the board members and the staff. So I want to say thank you very, very much for what you guys have done and for you gentlemen, what's going to be facilitated in the future. We appreciate you guys very much.
All right. Well, a great deal of confidence in you gentlemen and gratitude for the part that you will play in quality of life in this community. So thank you all. Madam Clerk, at this time, I have a motion and a second. May I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Cryer?
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant?
Yes.
Councilmember Waldrop?
Yes.
Councilmember Chavera?
Yes.
And Mayor Noor?
Yes, and that passes on a 5-0 vote of overwhelming confidence. Gentlemen, thank you very much. All right, next up, item number 2, citizen request public comments. We have none this evening. That saved me a great deal of reading. Thank you. All right, next up, council statements, non-action. Councilman Waldrop.
I'll make it short. I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and be safe. Thank you very much.
All right. Councilman Chavera.
Yes, mine will be brief as well. So this last week, the community had a fundraiser for the Cash family. And as the holidays coming up, I just want us to reflect and think about our families and how much they mean to us. That family, unfortunately, there is some uncertainty going on in their family right now. So I'm just asking you, think about your families. Don't take it for granted. With the holidays coming up, tomorrow's not promised. Be safe and happy holidays.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Councilman Bryant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As we're congratulating the gentleman here, we'd be remiss to not also send thanks to Roy High Miller. It's either been 3 or 6 years. Is it a 4-year term or a 3-year term?
It's 4 years.
So has he been 4 years now or
It's
8?
been 8.
So 8 years of solid work preceding Mr. Hunt. And so from all of us here at the City of Taft, on behalf of the City of Taft and the Westside Recreation Park District, big thank you to Roy High Miller. I will echo everything the previous council members have said. Regardless of what you celebrate this holiday season, I hope it's fantastic, wonderful, and blessed for you. As for me and mine, we celebrate Christmas, and so I'm going to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, very good.
Very good.
Mayor Pro Tem Cryer.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to remind everybody to be very vigilant this time of year. I've experienced where I don't get in trouble or anything as far as people breaking in, but there's people riding on bikes and they're stopping and taking pictures and calling. They're scouting your neighborhoods. So in the evening, they kind of know what time you come home, what time you leave for work. And there has been a couple people got things taken from their yards and stuff. So be real vigilant. You see anybody out there doing surveillance or anything, or you don't know the people, call the police. They'll come out there and check it out, make sure everything's fine. Especially when the patrol car comes to your neighborhood, they get scared and run off. And they'll leave the area alone because they know they're being watched. And another thing I'd like to wish is that everybody have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, and be safe and enjoy your parties and your time with your family. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you, sir. Well, I too want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I want to tell you a story. I'm hesitant to share it because there's nothing good about it. As a matter of fact, there's a horrible tragedy that occurred right next to my house in Arizona. There was a fire in a duplex, and 5 children died in that fire. There were no adults at home at the time, and it was upstairs. The kids were 2, 5, 7, 11, and 13, and they all perished in that fire. Horrible tragedy. They have not figured out what started the fire yet. There's several investigations going on, but life and its blessings are fleeting. Do not take them for granted. And with the Christmas trees, and we have a representative of the fire department, I would ask him just a little bit later on to step up here and tell us about special considerations. It's getting cold out there. And there's a cross-section of the population that when it gets cold, they just look for something to burn to get warmed up. And unfortunately, that turns into tragedy sometimes. So be vigilant, be careful, and give guidance to young people. We don't want any tragedies in our community. So God bless you all, and I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas as well. So moving forward, Planning Commission report, item number 4, we have Planning Commissioner. Jerry, you're going to come up here and fill us in.
Good evening, Mayor Nor, members of the council. We had 2 main items. Final discussion of the preparation of the housing element. And next year it starts doing the submittals and all that. They're going to be, I'm sure you'll probably be aware of this, but they're going to be hiring outside help for Mark to do some of the number crunching and other things that he doesn't do, which is, frankly, Mark does a lot of work. I've been in a number of places where 5 or 6 people would be working on the project he's working on, even in a relatively small jurisdiction. So getting a little extra help, I think, is a positive. The other item was the schedule for next year, and we will be moving our January meeting from the first Wednesday to the third Wednesday, just as you folks have decided to not meet on the second. I guess we don't, well, the third probably, we don't want to meet on the second.
It's a city holiday.
Yeah, right, exactly.
It's my birthday.
So that, and there will be at a little later date a discussion of whether or not, depending on what happens within the city, whether or not we meet on the 3rd of July or move it to the 17th. I don't know that it's going to be an issue, but that'll be the only other thing I think we have to deal with. I guess I'd like to say I'm thankful. This is my first time as the chair. I'm thankful for the group of people who actually work with us. We've got a pretty good mix of people, guys who know something about construction, somebody who's more of an advocate for construction and I think that it's been a positive. In my experience, I've worked at planning commission meetings where nobody understood what they were actually working on. Didn't understand the environmental, didn't understand the building codes, nothing. And we're still making decisions about housing. So I think I'm real happy to be working with this group. You've got a good mix of people on the planning commission.
Very good.
Guys, have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas to you too. Thank you very much, Jerry. Next up, item number 5, department reports. Seeing no department reports, we'll move forward. Item number 6, city manager statement. City Manager Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's as well.
All right, thank you, sir. Next up, city attorney statement. Jason.
Thank you. No statement, Mr. Mayor. And Merry Christmas to everyone.
Thank you, Jason. All right. Okay.
I want to ask the representative from Kern County Fire under the department reports.
I did, because don't we have a monthly report on the
I
agenda?
believe it's under consent.
Department reports.
Oh, okay. All right then. I beg your pardon. Thank you very much for that. If you would be so kind.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mayor Knorr and city council members. Don't get old.
Put the glasses on.
You know what? I keep moving back away from it too, man. I'm looking for a little bigger font, so I get it.
Are your arms getting shorter as well?
Yes, they are.
So as you mentioned, the monthly statement report for Taft, it looks like the call volume has been fairly consistent throughout the year. Last year we had last month, for the month of November, we had 238 calls for service, 911 calls, and 13 of those were fires. The fires seem to have trended down a little bit, with the 36 being the month before. And I think most of that is as the weather cools off, the humidity levels go up, we're seeing fewer grass fires. So that's bringing that number down. Unfortunately, as you mentioned earlier, when the weather gets cooler, people try to find creative ways to stay warm. Yeah. And they take what we deem as fuel, anything that can burn, and they try to put it in areas that they really haven't created a safe spot for themselves or anyone else. Their initial thought is just survival, unfortunately, for that night. And when they do light something on fire, it tends to get out of control. So that's usually when we get the call and come in and mitigate the situation. Unfortunately, the report in Arizona that you mentioned, I just read that yesterday. And I think we all, if you have kids, or even if you don't, for that matter, that is an unfathomable situation, to lose 5 kids. I don't know if they're all one family, but I know I have 2 kids of myself.
4 of the 5 were of a single family, the other was a relative.
I have 2 kids of myself, nieces and nephews, and I could not imagine that happening in my family. I don't know how you continue to move on after something like that. Unfortunately, in the Christmas season, as wonderful as it is, and you guys have all wished everyone to have a nice, happy holiday season, people tend to do things that are out of the ordinary. And when you do have a tree that is a live tree that they've cut down and brought into their home, and they don't water it, it does tend to become dry. Any type of heat source around that can cause it to burn. If you haven't been to our website, kerncountyfire.org, there is a video on there, and it'll actually show you. We did a demonstration down at our headquarters training facility, and with a dry tree, the presence around it, it goes up very quickly. You don't have time, in most cases, to try to put it out, so don't even attempt to put it out. Just get your family out safely. In addition to that, because they add additional electrical sources throughout their home, you've got usually an underrated extension cord or some type of, it falls under the definition of an extension cord, but it's really not, or extension cord plugged into extension cord plugged into extension cord, which is
3 multipliers plugged into one another.
Correct. And if you're buying cheap devices, something that is not rated for what you're doing or not UL rated, then that device is not going to handle the amount of power you have coming through it. And when you get increased amperage is heat. So the heat, that can now become your heat source when you turn your lights on and you go out to dinner with your family and you come back and you have something that you didn't expect, right? So my advice is make sure people are going out, make sure that they plug into their electrical sources that are rated for that, not underrated amperage, and don't just go switch your breaker out to a higher breaker. That's not appropriate. Get a licensed electrician to do that. It will save you in the long haul. You don't want to end up with a situation that occurred in Arizona. And I'm not saying that's what happened. I don't know what happened in that situation. But for something as simple as setting up and being safe with your tree, your electrical, your cooking. If you're deep frying something, don't do it near the house. If you're barbecuing, don't do it near the house. Get away.
especially if there's wind. Look around you, look at any type of vegetation, especially continuous vegetation, that you might think you can catch that, but if you go inside to grab a plate to put it on and now all of a sudden you've got fire in the grass and the grass is continuing, that's a problem. You're not going to be able to catch it, especially if there's wind. That's all I've got.
All right, thank you very much.
Merry Christmas to you. Happy New Year.
Thank you, sir.
I wish you guys a safe holiday.
Thank you.
Any questions for me?
I actually have one last statement I want to make. Today was the day, incidentally, and this also brought this to light, that we had to have all the fire extinguishers at our company serviced. That was that day. And we have a service company come do it, and they've been doing it for the 30-some-odd years I've been a part of this company. And I don't know, I think there's 70-some-odd fire extinguishers as a part of our company, whether they're stationed throughout the shops or in the office. We bring them from our homes. And just a reminder, hey, everybody, if you haven't done it, I don't know when everybody does it at their house, but in our organization, we do it when we do it to business. And it's just one more thing, you know, like you say, it's the magic season. It's Christmas and it's a happy time, but there are things out there that can go wrong. So be prepared and think about it.
Yes, very good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Merry Christmas. All right, at this time, future agenda requests. Gentlemen, item number 8, any future agenda requests?
None here.
None here.
None. All right, then. We'll move on to the consent calendar, items 9 through 14. All items listed on the consent calendar shall be considered routine and will be enacted by one roll call vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the City Council requests specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Any item removed from the consent calendar will be considered after the regular business items. Are there any items on the consent calendar that any member of the public would like to comment on? Seeing none, those items are item number 9, the minutes for the December 5th regularly scheduled meeting. Item number 10, the payment of bills, some $335,000 worth. Item number 11, monthly report for Kern County Fire Station number 21, November 2023. Recommendation is to receive and file the monthly report for November 2023 from Kern County Fire Station number 21 and find that the activity is not a project per the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, as set forth in Section 15060C3 and Section 15378 of the CEQA guidelines. Item number 12, cancellation of the January 2nd, 2024 City Council meeting. Now, if a whole bunch of people show up here for an in-person meeting, you might be by yourselves. Bring popcorn, maybe eggnog, that'd be cool, but we won't be here. So, recommendation is a motion to approve the cancellation of the January 2nd, 2024 City Council meeting if there's a lack of business and find that the activity is not a project per the California Environmental Quality Act as set forth in Section 15060C3 and Section 15378 of the CEQA guidelines. That would mean that the January 16th meeting of the City Council will be our next meeting. Item number 13 is ratification of agreements and purchases for the Taft Community Correctional Facility. Recommendation is a motion to ratify the following agreements. Memorandum of Agreement for Healthcare Services for Taft Community Correctional Facility. Master Services Agreement and Amendment with Securus Technologies. U.S. Department of Justice, United States Marshal Service. Modification of intergovernmental agreement and the purchase of 2 Ford Transit 12-passenger vans, and find that the activity is not a project per the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, as set forth in Sections 15060C3 and Section 15378 of the CEQA guidelines. Lastly, item 14, recognize obligation payment schedule, ROPS 2425, for July 2024 through June 2025. Recommendation here is a motion to adopt a resolution entitled, a resolution of the successor agency of the Taft Community Development Agency of the City of Taft, approving and adopting a recognized obligation payment schedule for the period July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025, pursuant to the provisions set forth in Health and Safety Code Section 341177J, AB 1X26. Secondly, direct staff to present the ROPS 2425 to the Countywide Oversight Board meeting set for January 25th, 2025 for approval, and find that the activity is not a project per the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, as set forth in Section 15060C3 and Section 15378 of the CEQA guidelines. Does any member of the council wish to remove any of these items from the consent calendar? Hearing none, at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve consent calendar items 9 through 12.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Cryer,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant,
Yes.
Councilmember Waldrop,
Yes.
Councilmember Chivera,
Yes.
and Mayor Noor.
Yes, and that passes on a 5-0 vote. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Lastly, item 15, Measure A, Citizens Oversight Committee appointment. City Manager Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. In December of 2021, the City Council adopted and ratified ordinance number 84521, enacting a transactions and use tax approved by voters of the City of Taft as Measure A. The ordinance, as adopted in Section 4-21-15, requires the City Council form a Citizens Oversight Committee to review revenue and expenditure of funds from the tax. On May 16, 2023, Resolution Number 4186-23 established the formation, setting forth guidelines and duties of the committee was adopted. Per the guidelines, recruitment for the committee started at the end of October, with applications for appointments being accepted by the city clerk's office through December 1st. Unfortunately, only one qualified applicant, Greg Mudge, applied for the appointment. At this time, it is recommended that Mr. Mudge be appointed to serve on the Measure A Citizens Oversight Committee, and that the city clerk's office start another recruitment period after the first of the year. During this recruitment period, the clerk's office will attempt even more community outreach to the public to hopefully attain at least 4 more qualified applicants needed for the committee, and then bring back an agenda item for the council for appointment.
Thank you, City Manager Jones. For everybody out there in TV land, that was an advertisement. Measure A requires that we have a Citizens Oversight Committee. These are your dollars. You agreed to invest them in your community. This is your government, and you have an opportunity to be a part of it. It won't take up much of your time, but we would love to have your company. So we need 4 more qualified individuals who are interested in being a part of the process. We look forward to hearing from you. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to appoint Greg Mudge to a position on the Measure A Citizens Oversight Committee effective January 1st, 2024. Instruct the city clerk to open another application period to fill the other 4 open positions, and find that the activity is not a project per the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, as set forth in Section 15060C3 and Section 15378 of the CEQA guidelines.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second and a half. Any further discussion on this item, gentlemen?
Just to say thank you to Greg and to echo your comments. Any 4 folks in the city of Taft who are legal voting age, residents of the city of Taft, that's all it takes. Probably a couple hours of the entire term. It will not take much, but we appreciate your time in advance.
All right, gentlemen? Okay, Madam Clerk, I have a motion and I have a second. May we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Cryer,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant,
Yes.
Councilmember Waldrop,
Yes.
Councilmember Chivera,
Yes.
and Mayor Noor.
Yes, and that passes on a 5-0 vote. Thank you, gentlemen. That concludes the open portion of this evening's meeting. This council will be going into closed session for one item. Item A, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, Government Code Section 54956.9A, Taft Union High School versus the City of Taft. So, from all of us to all of you, have a very Merry Christmas and a safe, sober, Happy New Year. We hope to see everybody back here on the 16th of January. Good night, everybody.